Hello, welcome all listeners to this Super Mario Brothers podcast. We haven't quite thought up a name for it yet, so I guess tentative title. Welcome to Star Road, the only Mario podcast on the internet. My name is Bath Soap. You can call me Ezra, and I'm joined here with Opra Zebb, also known as JoJo.
Hello, I'm JoJo, also known as Opra Zebb.
Well, let's just kick it off. Let's just kick it off on a good point. What was your first experience with Super Mario? Mario as a whole?
Just the character as a concept. So I do not actually remember my first Mario memory, because I was playing Mario since I was, I think, 2. I was playing Mario 64 since, like, before I could talk, since I was, like, 2 years old. My mom has actually told me, like, she saw me as a kid and was just like, how does he understand what the controller does? Like, how is he moving the character around? So Mario was always just, like, something very important to me and something I latched onto at a very young age, and it pretty much stuck with me till now.
I kind of have a similar sort of experience as well. While my literal first time playing Mario, it was All-Stars on the Super Nintendo. It was my older sibling Super Nintendo. But very similarly, Super Mario 64, that was when I really latched on to Mario. I would run around the castle, like, for a long time. I would say when I was like 4 years old, 5 years old, I would turn on the game and just run around the castle and maneuver Mario, make him jump around, jump off trees. And I didn't even know that you could jump inside the paintings. I just liked being Mario in this kind of 3D environment.
Oh, for sure. The magic of games back then was just it was basically like a toy. Like, wow, I can make this guy do a thing. I can control what happens in the TV. And that was, like, enough for us back then.
And, you know, that really just goes back a little bit to even the topic of what we're talking about today, Super Mario Brothers on the NES. But, like, back then, it was just purely fun to just control a guy on the screen, control a character. And I'll just jump straight in that Super Mario Brothers, the first one, it's just it jump-started the platforming game. Like, side-scrolling platformers, it's all because of Super Mario Brothers on the NES.
Absolutely.
Or Famicom.
Yeah.
The way that Mario feels in that game, he has such a heft and a weight. Like, the way that you fall and turn in the air. A game like that at the time, there just wasn't any other sort of feeling to controlling a character like that.
Yeah, absolutely. My immediate thought is comparing it to Mega Man, because that's a game with a very stiff feeling character on the same system. And Mega Man's a great game, but it's a game with no momentum. You control your character perfectly in the air. He comes to an immediate stop, and, like, Mario feels very different. Mario feels like a character with weight and momentum. He feels like you're controlling a person rather than a tool.
And even when getting the fire flower, the way that the fireballs, they don't just shoot out like a projectile. Mario throws them on the floor and they bounce towards their target.
Yeah, I guess I always took that for granted. That is really something, like, really unique. Definitely very unique to, like, think of, like, oh yeah, a character that shoots in a game. It would just be shoot forward, but yeah, no, these are little balls of fire that have to bounce on the ground. It's very different. And
it's like, you know, back then, I don't imagine there was, like, gravity mechanics coded into it programmed into the game. Like, it's purely animation. Like, the Lakitu throwing the Spiny and it landing, that's purely just animation. The fireballs falling, the way that the arc of the Hammer Bros throw their hammers. Like, it's not gravity, it's just the animation of the object.
Yeah, that's true. It wasn't really a physics engine back then. They had to just make it all work.
And they succeeded in making such a physical feeling game. Like, have you ever been playing Mario 1 and you've been, like, the speed that Mario can achieve? Like, if you're I guess, like skilled at the game, experienced at the game, like just flying through the level, jumping across the platforms. Like he's a very easy character to control.
Yeah, what I immediately noticed when going back to Mario 1 is that, like, you're able to get a ton of speed, but it's a lot more difficult than in other games to, like, achieve that speed immediately. Like if you're just walking, there are just jumps you cannot make. There are heights you cannot get to. And it's interesting to have, like, such I guess, again, momentum-based gameplay where, like, running really, like, changes how the game is played.
Yeah, and it's I want to quickly bring up can I mention something from the Super Mario Brothers movie, the 2023 film just came out?
Sure, go ahead.
There's this scene where Peach and Mario, they do this sort of obstacle course, and Mario, he struggles with it for a while, but Peach, she clears it with ease. And they have this moment where they're sitting on this ledge, and Mario, he says something along the lines of, like, were you able to do it on your first try? And she's like, well, yeah, I did. But, you know, I grew up here. So she says that she grew up in these parts. But Mario, starting to do the obstacle course now, he's having a lot of difficulty. And I took that as a bit of metaphor for playing a game like Mario 1, where it's like, you play it your whole life and you're just going to be good at it. You could even beat levels that you've never seen before on your first try. But for some people, it takes a while even just to get to the end of the stage. But that's something to still feel proud of, because Miyamoto and his design philosophy, it's like you want the player to feel like they accomplished something.
That is actually so wild. I have no idea how I didn't think of that. Like, I watched the movie twice, and I just sort of took that at face value, and was more so like, yeah, it's cool that Peach is native to the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, but I didn't think of it as an allegory for the gameplay. But
yeah, it kind of had a deeper meaning.
I absolutely agree that, like, it's probably the meaning behind that. That's a really fun idea.
And in that first, in Mario 1, there's just, people have talked endlessly about how the game, it basically teaches you how to play it. It like slowly introduces mechanics, like as the worlds progress, like things that you've seen before are incorporated. It's like you'll have a level with the weighted pulleys, like the platforms that adjust with Mario's weight. And then you'll have a level with Cheep Cheep on a bridge. But then World 6 or 7, there's a level that incorporates both of those elements that you've previously seen in the game. Like, it's just a pure design genius.
Yeah, the game always is just trying to, like, the game is always just sort of trying to ease you into mechanics like that. So just when everything is combined, it's not overwhelming to you. And that's a philosophy that the Mario series has stuck with, like, forever. It can be hard. The Mario games can be very difficult, especially the most recent ones with their last levels, but they always introduce mechanics in a very specific way and a specific order. They do it in a controlled environment, and then maybe add an enemy, and then maybe do it with another thing that you've seen before. They always ramp it up slowly, so you figure it out in a fun way. And I always thought that was really cool.
And I always remember Mario 1 being really hard, if not the hardest of the trilogy. But playing it last night, not only did I find that it was like a pretty good level of challenge, but as I progressed through it, it just, everything kept feeling fresh. From this game from 1985, it's it stays introducing new level concepts, new set pieces, new challenges, and you know, there's only 2 underwater levels in that game. Only 2.
Really? Do other levels have underwater sections? Because I was thinking before playing the water level, like, wow, it's a very underappreciated song, but it is used a lot in the series, like more than you would expect.
You know, that was actually Koji Kondo, the composer. That was the first song that he made for the game.
Really? That's very interesting, because so you were just asking me before, like, when was the last time I played the game? I actually have been playing 3 versions on and off within the past day. just to get a feel for it and, talk about it here. And one thing I noticed that was really interesting is that water level theme, the water level theme in Super Mario Brothers, actually is the title screen for the game in Super Mario All-Stars. When you try to launch the game's remake, the 16-bit remake in Super Mario All-Stars, it plays a remix of the water theme, and it's completely different from the other remix of the water theme that is used in the water levels of that remake. I think the same goes for Mario 3. I'm not sure if the original version has it, but Mario Advance 4 also uses that song, so it's interesting that it sort of became a Mario theme song.
Yeah, I've always I hold the underwater theme like a bit higher than like underground or even like I guess you would say athletic theme.
Sure, that's the Mario 3 athletic theme, yeah.
Just the sound design in general. Koji Kondo, he composed the music for the game before the game was even finished, or like in like major aspects of the levels being done, which is rare for game production. Usually the sound design, the music is done after the game is already finished, especially back then in this 8-bit era. But Koji Kondo, he had such a clear vision of the sound that he had in mind for the game that he was just all ready to work on it. That's
wild. That this is kind of a side tangent, but it does remind me of just how crazy the sound design is in that game, because if you listen closely, the mushroom power-up sound, when you collect the mushroom, it is remarkably similar to the sound that plays when you go into a warp pipe. And what's crazier is when you slow that sound down, it is nearly identical to the sound that plays when you beat a level. The doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, that one. Is pretty much just a slowed down version of the pipe and mushroom sound. Like, a lot of these sound effects in Mario 1 are, like, interconnected. And it's cool because it's kind of an Easter egg, but was also done to save space in the game's cartridge.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was going to ask you, is if it was a cost-cutting measure or it was an intentional aspect of the design and is a bit of an Easter egg, but it's a combination of both.
I mean, that's what it seems to be, yeah.
Like, Mario 1, it surprisingly has a lot of secrets and Easter eggs and little hidden stuff that's like becomes such a integral part of like the culture of Mario 1.
For sure. One-up mushrooms, hidden blocks, that kind of stuff.
I was even gonna stretch and say the Minus World.
Oh yeah, that's not even an Easter egg. That was just not even supposed to be there, but yeah.
Well, Miyamoto, he recognizes the Minus World, and he's even said that it's basically a feature of the game. Like,
really?
Well, since it doesn't break the game, it doesn't crash it, it's playable, you could technically see it as a feature.
I love that. It's just like, is it a bug or a feature? Yup.
And, of course, the iconic warp zones, which, like, I don't know how I learned about those. Like, I watched my older sibling do it, but I feel like that's just something that I've just known my whole life. You can walk on top of the level.
I feel exactly the same way. Like, it feels like the Mario Warp Zone is just something that is ingrained into my brain. I don't remember ever learning about it. I just remember knowing it's there. And, like, that's not really a thing for me for any other game. Like, I remember learning how to get the warp whistle in Mario 3. Like, I specifically remember, actually, I lent my copy of the game to a friend, and when I got it back, I had a warp whistle. And I was like, what? How did he do that? But yeah, that's sort of a side tangent. But yeah, it is crazy. Going back to what we were saying before, though, about, like, saving space, I kind of wanted to talk about how That's how like one of the most iconic Mario characters was created, the Goomba. Because initially in Mario 1, the main enemy was the Koopa Troopas, the turtles that you kick the shell of. And Goombas were not in the game until very late into development. Now, you might notice that Goombas share a near identical silhouette to the mushrooms in the game. The only difference is they have a little foot sticking out. in terms of silhouette anyway. And because of that simple sprite they have, when they flip it around, it makes a walking cycle. So it's actually just one sprite of the Goomba.
There's so many other genius moments of sprite reusage, like of course the clouds and the bushes.
That's
like,
true. Yeah,
it's the same thing. But I quickly want to touch on the red and green Koopas. They're like, I'm not sure if it's in the manual. We could check, but it's
we have the manuals here for notes and stuff. They are really fun to look through.
I'm looking at it right now. Is it carried over that not carried over, but that red Koopas will, when they reach the edge of a platform, they'll turn back, but green Koopas, they will fall off platforms, similar to Goombas.
Let me see here if it's in this, because I have we have 3 different manuals for this game. So let me see here if it's in this one.
I'm looking at the American one. I like that they also call it Little Goomba.
Koopa Troopa Red is here, yes, in the American manual of the NES version. It says, "This turtle is chicken, very timid, he gets scared easily and runs back and forth a lot. Jump on him and he stops moving for a while." So that's funny. They made it so like he's scared to fall off, which is interesting because I always interpreted it as like the red Koopas as smarter because they don't fall to their deaths.
Yeah, the green Koopas, they're more carefree.
Yeah. Or maybe careless.
The Koopas in general, like, what a cool enemy. Like, they're so multi-purpose. They can still hurt you even in the shell. And they have such a personality. The fact that they come back out of the shell after a little while, like,
that's true.
I love that so much.
I like that their little legs pop out also to like warn you. And that's also an extension of the original Mario Bros. It had the shell creepers, and they would walk back into their shells after you knock them over.
Yeah, and I'm curious if there's any design notes on like the explanation of like we should make you able to jump on the Koopas, like, because it's just going back to Mario Bros. Nowadays, it's like so innate. Like, I want to just jump on them and kick the shell.
Yeah, to the point where when they remade Mario Bros., they actually had to change the Koopas to spinies so people wouldn't instinctively jump on them.
Oh, you're right. I never considered that. I never even realized that at all.
Yeah, that's exactly why they did that. Yeah.
I love the enemies of Mario 1. Every single one of them, they're just like the core Mario characters, the core enemies. Buzzy Beetle, I'll just let it be known, Buzzy Beetle is one of my favorite Mario things.
Buzzy Beetles are very, very cute, yeah.
I just like the Buzzy Beetles. I like that they crawl upside down sometimes. Like, well, Spike Tops do that too.
Yeah, Spike Tops.
Hey, how do you feel about the piranha plants being green in this game, like before their iconic red color?
Yeah, I mean, I always saw it as strange. I mean, they feel a lot less like creatures in this game. You know, they feel like real Venus flytraps.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they like start to emote more in future Mario games. I guess starting with Mario 3 was when they really like had that. They had a lot of different kinds of piranha plants.
Yeah, there's not even a fire piranha plants in this first game.
That's true. There's just the piranha plants going up and down.
And I'm curious if there hasn't been a reappearance of a green piranha plant in the mainline series.
Really? Are there not?
I'm pretty sure.
I think there might be green ones in Mario 3. I'm not sure.
Oh, yes, you're right. And they come out of the pipe in the same way.
Yeah. What I'm noticing here, actually, is the manual says that piranha plants are man-eating plants that live in the flower pots, which is interesting that they... I guess the pipe graphic is multi-purpose. Sometimes it's a pipe, sometimes it's a flower pot, which is interesting. Which also is interesting because in Mario 2, they don't have pipes. Of course, I mean, Mario USA, they don't have pipes. They have pots. They have jars. And you could still use them to warp.
From playing Mario 2 as a kid, I always... that was my first time seeing a pot like that, like those giant vases, ever in my life. I'd only ever seen that. I think in cartoons I've seen them too, but like from that point forward, seeing them in Mario 2, I would see them in real life, and my mind would just instantly think like that's the thing from Mario 2. Like,
oh man, I love
it's a reference to Mario 2.
There are so many things like that. Like, I mean, yeah, I feel like that's just like a thing with us, is just we learned so much about the world from these games.
Absolutely.
It's just like, oh yeah, eggs, those are the things Yoshi has.
Now, you've talked about Super Mario Brothers Deluxe, and I'm not too familiar with this game myself.
Oh, really?
Is there anything you want to say about Super Mario Brothers Deluxe?
Super Mario Brothers Deluxe is a very, very interesting re-release. And actually, it may have been the first version of the game I played. I'm not really sure because like, again, memories from back then are so vague, but I remember like finding it like in my house. I think like my brother lost his copy and then I found it and then just sort of commandeered it. Sorry, Ray. But yeah, it is a full ground up remake of Super Mario Brothers with very, very many differences. There's a map screen, there's saving, there is a continue screen. Luigi's palette is changed so he looks more like his current design, and Fire Luigi looks like the design from the first game. There's versus mode, there's challenge mode where you can find coins and go for a score goal and find Yoshi eggs. There's you versus Boo. This mode is so cool. It's a race against a Boo where he basically has like the on-off blocks from like Mario Maker, where the blocks will be solid or transparent, and it depends on like what state they're in, and you can block each other's path using that. And that extends to the versus mode that you can play together. So it's pretty crazy. It really feels like a modernized version of Super Mario Brothers. Like, I was looking through it yesterday. This game has achievements.
Yeah.
You can go into the like toy box and find a bunch of things you can print with the Game Boy printer. And it also, by the way, it is absolutely crazy to see N64 advertisements in a release of Super Mario Brothers. Like, that just doesn't make sense in my head. But yeah, you can use that game to print a little N64 logo that says "Get N or Get Out," which is so funny. I love that. But yeah, Super Mario Brothers Deluxe like has so many little things that like are just amazing. Like, the challenge mode shows Mario's sprite walking into like this castle room with an isometric viewpoint, and Toad is talking to you. That's another thing it changed, is the Toads at the end of every castle. They always are just standing there saying, "Thank you, Mario, our princess is in another castle." But in this one, they don't stand there. They have the original sprite, but they added new sprites of them jumping for joy because they're like, "Wow, Mario saved me." And they're happy, and it's adorable. I love things like that.
Yeah, and there's a little room in the toy box where you actually, like, as you get the Toads throughout the worlds, they populate in this little table.
Yes, exactly. That's how you unlock more of those things to print. Each Toad has a little seat in this room, and as you save more of them, you unlock more things to print. And lastly, you save Peach.
The fortune telling that I remember. Okay, as a kid, I had this game on Game Boy Color, but the battery was dead, so I could never save anything on it.
Aww.
And I think I would have really liked the calendar function of it, but I never got good use out of it. But I would do the fortune telling one, and I think the first day that I ever tried it, like, I had the game for a while, but I just saw it as like, oh, it's just Mario 1, but I just tried the fortune telling on a whim, and I got the extremely unlucky Bowser, and I just instantly just shut off the game, and I don't think I played the game again for years.
Did you get like scared of it?
About it? It just unsettled me. It just upset me. I don't know why. It's just, extremely unlucky. Great.
By the way, I was looking at that calendar today. I don't know if you know this. It goes from the year 1 AD to 3000.
I hope in the future someone is, because there's probably someone who uses that calendar, like, they, in an ironic way, but like they genuinely add the little notes.
I might start doing that.
Whip out your Game Boy Color.
Yeah, I might start doing that.
I'm looking at these little stationaries. Like, there's one that you can print. It's like a Mario plush with sunglasses on.
Oh, I love that one. What's crazy about those little screens there is I learned this from some Twitter user, and I wish I could like know where I found this, but it was so long ago. But apparently, like if you type in musical notes and then like the letter that corresponds to the note, you can just like compose a song that plays when you turn the game on.
What?
And in fact, let me go get my Game Boy. I will play it on the mic real quick. I will be right back. So I saw this person's tweet and I was like, I didn't know this was a feature of the game, because again, Super Mario Bros. Deluxe has so many little details that are just wild. So I copied exactly what the guy wrote because I don't have any musical knowledge. So let's hear what happens when I turn on this Game Boy. It plays Megalovania with a little picture of like Peach, or I could change it to the Mario plushie with sunglasses. Yeah, and you could just make a custom jingle for when you turn on Mario Deluxe. Because I think with what you were saying about the calendar, like this game really feels like it was meant to be like an application, you know? It has a little jingle you can write, it has a calendar you can use for 3,000 years. Yeah.
They really, I think it was a bit, maybe they were thinking like, we're re-releasing Super Mario Brothers. This game at this point, like it was out for over a decade, because Mario Bros. Deluxe came out in 1999.
Yeah, that was 14 years after the original.
So they're re-releasing this 8-bit game, and they really like just included so many features. Like they packed it full of just funny things to do, like so many modes and toys.
Yeah,
and I love the toys.
One of my favorite things about games are like games is just side content with toys. Like,
yeah,
that's why
WarioWare.
About to say, love that.
Did we just say it at the same time?
Yes, we did. I was gonna say WarioWare Twisted is one of my favorites because of the fucking like million just weird knickknacks you can unlock, and that's why I was so excited that WarioWare Gold brought that back.
My first the WarioWare touched toys. Those were the yo-yo. I would show my mom that I like, look, it looks like I'm playing a yo-yo, Mom.
Mom, look, it's like a yo-yo, except this one is a lot more expensive.
Anyway, that's a big tangent. The WarioWare franchise.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that one eventually.
But what else? I wanted to bring up the spring pads from Super Mario Brothers. Did you ever have trouble?
Yes, they frustrate the hell out of me. I don't like them.
I thought last night when I was playing it, I thought I'm like, oh, I figured it out. And every single time I thought I understood it, I didn't. Like I think it's random. It's skill based? I don't know.
It isn't random, but the timing is quite annoying.
Like it's very, there's this moment, it's like just this random difficulty spike where you have there's these 2 blocks, and the only way, it's like designed to be impossible unless you get the maximum jump.
Yeah, the maximum jump, like, I don't even think the height is that hard to get. It's more so just like getting that height and also like using the momentum properly to actually land where you want is a fucking horrible combination.
But the using one thing that I'm surprised about is that Super Mario Run, the iOS game, it has basically everything from the first Mario game. Because I'm just trying to, because no Fire Flower obviously, but the spring pads, like surprisingly, like thinking about it, there's always been the spring pads in some form. Like a bouncing pad has been carried over.
It's weird though. It is I agree. Like it feels like something that isn't in Mario 1 until you play it again and you're like, oh.
And it's always been there. And thinking about Mario Maker, like it's kind of strange how like it's not in Mario Maker.
It's in Mario Maker.
The Super Mario Brothers 1 springboard?
I guess not. I mean, it's in the Mario 1 theme, but it functions the other games because the other games made it good.
Yes.
So I guess you're right about that.
One interesting thing I learned about the production of this game was that they drew every single level, every aspect on graph paper, and they like hard coded it like pixel by pixel according to the graph.
That's right. I forgot about that. That like, yeah, every level, like there are visuals we could put up if you're watching on YouTube or whatever. But yeah, like every level was like drawn with like markers and everything, like because back then like game development tools were not even close to what we have now. That's like why cheat codes exist, because like it wasn't easy to just implement something and like see how it looks in a game and then just test it out immediately. That wasn't how it worked. Like the reason, this is a bit of a side tangent, but the reason cheat codes usually were a thing was because developers needed to test the game out, so they needed to get to later portions of the game quicker.
With infinite lives and invincibility and such.
Yeah, exactly. Or warp zones.
And there's a level select code in Super Mario Brothers, is there not?
So, kind of. There's two things that are kind of like that. When you get a game over in the first Mario game, or in Super Mario Brothers on the NES, you can continue from the world you're in. So if you die in, say, 6-3, you can start from 6-1, so long as you're holding the A button before you press start on the title screen. You'll start back at 6-1. But if you beat the game, Princess Peach tells you about the second quest, where she says, press button B to do new game, or whatever. And it's a little confusing, because the B button doesn't do that. It brings you back to the title screen. But then when you're at the title screen, you can press B to get through, to select which world you want to do for the second quest. Yeah.
And it's a bit of a hard mode, that second quest.
Yeah, almost every Goomba is replaced by Buzzy Beetles. I believe more fire rods are added. I could be wrong, though. Just because I was playing both versions of the game earlier today, and in one level I noticed there was a fireball in one, or a fire bar in one version, and there wasn't in another, so that could be my mistake. What's also interesting is that I completely forgot about this, is Versus Super Mario Bros., which is the arcade game. I believe it also has a lot of Buzzy Beetles, but like I'm not sure what other differences it really has, but there is an arcade port of this game as well.
I could be wrong on this, but I think one major thing about Versus Super Mario Brothers is there's no warp zones in that game.
Really?
And by that extension, no minus world either, but I think it has its own unique version of the minus world, achieved through a different glitch.
Interesting.
I could be wrong on that. I think I might have some details mixed up.
That game, of course, was never given a home release, that version of the game, because the whole point was that it was made for arcades. But it is actually available for Switch now. It's just $8 on the Switch eShop as part of the Arcade Archives line, which I think is really cool. I wish they would do it with like later games, like the Mario Kart arcade games and stuff, but games from the 80s that are hard to find, that's cool too, I guess.
I believe Excite Bike is another one. The arcade version of Excite Bike is on there too, as Arcade Archives.
I believe so. Also, Punch Out, which is really cool because that game used 2 screens, and the top screen was just to show like the characters' names and your score, kind of like a real boxing arena. So that was a really fun idea, and of course did partially inspire the DS.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh well, even think about like the Donkey Kong Game & Watch, like the 2 screens on that.
Oh, of course, yeah. Very, very off topic from Super Mario Brothers, but it is related to this, is that Punch-Out dual screen game is referenced quite a lot in Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land, which is a DS game. It was made by, I believe, Vanpool, which is a bunch of former Lovedelic members, which are a bunch of former Squaresoft members. Regardless, every boss fight is like given the style, like it introduces both characters, and they're given the exact art style of that arcade Punch-Out game.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and it actually extends to the game's little icon in the DS menu. It's Tingle in the Punch-Out style. And thinking about another I don't know, Punch-Out, it seems to be like kind of a beloved meme of Nintendo. Like even in like Captain Rainbow on the Wii, Fat Little Mac is on there, or like even in the Super Mario Brothers movie, there's the Punch-Out Pizzeria with all the portraits of a lot of references to specifically Punch-Out Wii that I noticed in that scene. Yeah, what I thought was interesting about that was in the Mario movie, it seems like they want to make it a thing that, like, Nintendo is a thing, but the Mario games aren't. That's why Mario's playing, like, Kid Icarus.
I love that. I love all of the Black Box series NES game references, like the Kung Fu poster, tennis and golf.
The little, like, the little polar bear from Ice Climber. But what was interesting to me is, like, I was thinking, so is Punch-Out a game in this world, or are these real boxers?
Okay, I actually think that's a little bit more legitimate. And plus, Punch-Out takes place in the Bronx, or I assume it's close in proximity.
Yeah, Little Mac is from the Bronx, and of course, Mario is the ref in the first Punch-Out. And hey, Donkey Kong is the final boss of the Wii Punch-Out.
Wow.
So
it's all coming together.
So maybe Punch-Out is a licensed game in the Mario universe featuring real boxers, kind of like how it featured real boxers here with Mike Tyson.
Wow, I really like that. Speaking of boxes, I wanted to bring up the American box art for Super Mario Brothers. It always, when I was younger and saw it in Super Mario All-Stars, what is it depicting? It's showing Mario falling in lava. He's up against a wall, falling in lava.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
This game isn't going to pull its punches. It's like, hey, you want to help this guy? Buy the game.
I didn't read it as that way. Mario is in danger.
I just made that up. You know, that does actually remind me of this weird... It's a bit of a side thing, but it reminds me of the description for Mario in the game's instruction manual, where it says... Basically, it describes Mario as the hero, and then it says, maybe? ...
maybe?
Yeah.
Have you seen the PAL box art?
The PAL box art? I have not.
It's it's the same kind of like black border style, but it has the Famicom's box art on it.
Really?
Here, I'll send you a pic, and the viewer can see it on the screen.
Oh wow! Are you sure that's official?
Yeah, that's official, and the cart has the same artwork on it too.
I really love that art.
And that Miyamoto drew that, did he not?
Yes, that was Miyamoto's drawing. And a famous thing about Miyamoto's depiction of the Mario characters is that he really couldn't draw Bowser. He had to commission an artist, a manga artist, to like get someone to really redesign Bowser and make him something cool.
I feel like Miyamoto's Bowser was kind of the basis for his depiction in the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, King Koopa.
For sure. But I also have theorized that it may also be inspired by Wart from Mario 2.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Because there are a lot of Mario 2 elements in that, and Bowser seems a lot more like reptilian in the Mario Super Show. Like, he has a lot of mammal features in Mario 1, especially with this box art. Like, he has this muzzle, he has hair, but he feels a lot more like crocodile-like in the Super Show.
Yeah.
To the point where he kind of also looks like King K. Rool, but that definitely is a coincidence because King K. Rool did not yet exist.
Mm-hmm. Another thing is that when did he actually start becoming Bowser? Because even I'm looking through these manuals and he's referred to as King Koopa. Or, well, never mind. It says Bowser, King of the Koopas. My mistake.
Yeah, so he was always named Bowser here, but Bowser was never his name in Japan. So in Japan, his first name is just Koopa. And Koopas, well, the thing is, reading this manual, it doesn't seem like Koopa was a species. It was saying that Koopa is a tribe of turtles. And it specifically says that, we now think of, like, the Koopa Troopas as, oh, these are Koopas, these are the species Koopa. But it seems to be like, these are the troopers of this army of the clan called Koopa. Koopa Troopas were never called Koopas in Japan. They're actually called Noko Noko, which I think is adorable.
And that's a bit of a onomatopoeia for, like, the sound that their shell makes when they're kicking around.
I was thinking, like, maybe they're walking or whatever, but it's probably an onomatopoeia for something. That also, like, leads in pretty well to, it's interesting to think about the name for Goombas, which was Kuribo, which is a complete misinterpretation. Kuribo basically means, like, chestnut person or chestnut boy, because the Goomba sprites do look like chestnuts, but they aren't supposed to be chestnuts. They're actually supposed to be shiitake mushrooms. And it's interesting because the manual for Super Mario Brothers actually says, well, in the first game, they're called Little Goomba and not Goomba, but it's interesting that they are described as a mushroom who betrayed the Mushroom Kingdom. And then it says one stomp and he dies, which is just funny. But yeah, that's like a very like seldom known fact, but I've only seen it referenced in one game, and that was Super Princess Peach during the opening.
And that's actually kind of an interesting, like, piece of lore. I guess, like, it reappeared in Super Princess Peach, so, Goombas, I don't know, I could accept that they are, like, defectors of the Mushroom Kingdom.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. They are mushrooms.
And, I wanted to say that, like, Peach, she was always named Peach, but they decided to localize her as Princess Toadstool.
Yeah.
And that's what she was known as way up until Mario 64, where, like, it was formerly, like, Princess Toadstool Peach.
Yeah, so now we have her full name as Princess Peach Toadstool. And similarly, here in America, we have King Bowser Koopa, I guess Senior, if we want to go that far. Now he has a son also named Bowser Jr.
Well, as the Japanese manual refers to him, it's actually the Great Demon King Koopa.
That's true. And that actually does make me want to go into the plot of this game, because a lot of people do not know the plot of this game. And I think it's really interesting because from day one, Princess Peach was never a useless damsel in distress character. She was always a powerful character, and I feel like a lot of people don't know this just because they see the Mario games at face value. Because I saw a lot of people getting angry at Peach's characterization in the Mario movie, how she's very, like, strong and stuff. But, yeah, I'll just read out the game description from the American manual for Super Mario Brothers. One day, the kingdom of the peaceful mushroom people was invaded by the Koopa, a tribe of turtles famous for their black magic. The quiet, peace-loving mushroom people were turned into mere stones, bricks, and even field horsehair plants, and the Mushroom Kingdom fell into ruin. The only one who can undo the magic spell on the mushroom people and return them to their normal selves is the Princess Toadstool, the daughter of the Mushroom King. Unfortunately, she is presently in the hands of the Great Koopa Turtle King. Mario, the hero of the story, maybe. I just love that they say that. Hears about the Mushroom People's plight and sets out on a quest to free the Mushroom Princess from the evil Koopa and restore the fallen kingdom of the Mushroom People. You are Mario. It's up to you to save the Mushroom People from the black magic of the Koopa. So, right off the bat, Princess Peach is a powerful sorceress who can cure the Mushroom People of a curse.
And the only reason that it's not that she's, like, kidnapped, she's just so far away from the kingdom that there's no way to even, like, cast anything to, like, it's like, I guess a radius type thing. And that's why it's like Bowser, he puts the mushroom people in the castles to throw Mario off or throw whoever off, because it's like she could be in any one of these castles.
That's true.
But, I wanted to mention real quick, I have also been seeing similar things regarding the Mario movie discourse, but, like, I saw someone referring to Mario as a traditional male hero. Mario, he's maybe the hero. ... maybe.
Yeah, well, it's actually parentheses Mary, maybe.
Oh,
it's
yes,
parentheses yes. Mary. Mario, short for Mary. Wait, short for Mary, a shorter name. I'm stupid. Anyway.
I really like that Mario ate a mushroom in the Mario movie.
Good for him, TBH.
And I also appreciate that the mushrooms didn't have eyes, as they don't in Super Mario Brothers.
I did notice that, actually, when I watched the movie the second time, and I was like, I didn't realize, like, that could be that it probably is why they don't have eyes. Like, that is probably a reference. But to me, I was just like, it would be really weird if he ate this thing that has eyes.
Yeah.
It would be kind of creepy.
And I also want to say that the Fire Flower... I've kind of derailed multiple times to talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie, but...
That's fine. I mean, it's an adaptation of Super Mario Bros.
Well, there Mario didn't get the fire flower. He was like DK. He blew it out in the arena, but there was no Fire Mario in this film.
That's true.
But there was Fire Peach for just a brief moment.
Actually, I did want to make a note about that. Very little detail, but in Super Mario 3D World, I believe that's the first game with Fire Peach.
I think that's the first game of playable Peach since 2 and Super Princess Peach.
Possibly. Maybe main series. But regardless, that game's version of Fire Peach specifically has her hair in a ponytail, which is how you should have your hair if you are dealing with fire.
Absolutely.
Because you don't want to set your hair on fire. So I was a little disappointed when I saw Fire Peach and her hair was down, because I was like, that is dangerous.
Wow. I did not consider that detail. And but when she's Ice Peach, her hair is up.
Well, I don't think it transformed. I think that's just because she was dressed for the wedding.
Oh, you're right. Oh, yes, you're right.
It's, yeah, kind of irrelevant to the game, though. One thing I did want to mention, though, is that we always call him Fire Mario, but according to this game's manual, and the manual of the re-release from 1999, when Super Mario gets a Fire Flower, he becomes Fiery Mario.
I kind of like that. I wonder if that's carried over modern day. I wonder if he's still referred to as such.
I don't believe so. I've seen lots of merchandise that still call him Fire Mario. And
okay.
And also, it seems like the Super Mario Bros. Deluxe manual actually just copies a lot of things from the 85 manual.
Yeah, when you were reading the plot, I was actually looking at the one from Deluxe, and it's pretty much one for one. Instead of black magic, it says dark magic.
Oh, they made the magic. It's not black, it's just dark. It's like a gray or something.
Anyways, how about Potobos?
Potobos? I always forgot what they were called.
In Mario Odyssey, they're Potobos with a T.
Really? I did not know that.
I think so.
That's weird. In my mind, I always think of the fire snake enemy from Mario 3 as a Podobo, because I think they may refer to the, if you'll remember the hot rope jump minigame in Mario Party, I believe the fire snake there is referred to as a Podobo. I could be wrong. I guess I'll fact check it.
Interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, I always thought of the fire snake as a Podobo, but apparently the Podobo is just a fireball. Usually it doesn't have eyes or a face. It's weird to me that it's considered an enemy, because it just looks like a thing. It just looks like a ball of fire.
Well, you can defeat it. It defeats in the same way when you hit it with the invincibility star.
Really?
And I wanted to bring up how when you defeat Bowser with fireballs, if it's not the last Bowser, it's as if you're killing an enemy. Like a Goomba will fall, or a Spiny.
That's right.
Have you ever noticed that?
I did.
What do you think is the explanation for that?
I actually do know the explanation. Do you not?
No.
So those are called false Bowsers, actually. They are specifically enemies disguised as Bowser. And that's actually referenced in Super Mario 3D World. Whenever you defeat Bowser,
you're right.
Bowser will have a little tanuki tail, and then it will show, when you beat Bowser, he'll explode in a puff of smoke, and it'll show an enemy with the little tanuki leaf, because tanuki in Japanese culture are able to shapeshift. That's also why Tom Nook sells leaves as furniture in Animal Crossing.
Oh my goodness. And that's how they blast out the like when you throw your item out.
Because of the little poof transformation.
So it actually is a leaf in your inventory.
Yeah, it actually is a leaf in your inventory. But what I wanted to say before we go into the next segment is the false Bowser thing, where an enemy falls when you defeat Bowser, started off as a glitch. It was a graphical error that happened when they were testing out the game, and they were like, this is cool. What if we made it like that isn't the real Bowser? It's someone else. It's an enemy disguised as Bowser. That would be a cool thing.
And that really goes to show that basically every single aspect, even the glitches and Easter eggs, even the 99 lives 1-up glitch, like everything from this Super Mario Brothers game, it has continued in the franchise. Like it's all, they have reused every mechanic idea. I just find that really cool that this is it is the fundamental Mario game that is still being referenced in all mainline Mario games.
Oh yeah, it's really crazy just how impactful this game is. Like you go back and play Super Mario Brothers, and you're like, yeah, I see how this influenced things, but like every little tiny detail is it means something, and it was like brought back in some way, like everything.
One thing I was surprised about that it wasn't introduced in this game, but when you kick a shell across a line of enemies, there's no 1-up after, like the points don't stack. It's the same flat amount of points every enemy the same shell kills.
No, it gives you more points with them.
And it results in a 1-up?
Let me see. I think it happened today, and the manual was talking about it being a secret technique. Let me see here. Yeah, Super Mario Bros. Secret tricks. Shh, don't tell anyone. Bulldozer attack. Kick one of the shells and then run right behind it. Use the B button, and your path will be cleared for you as your enemies are sent flying. If you want to get a lot of points, be sure to not leave any enemies alive behind you, since the more enemies you kill, the more new ones appear. Especially when using the bulldozer attack, make sure all enemies on screen are wiped out before continuing to the right. This is a lot of shit that they're fucking saying. Anyway.
I think I'm going to make a Mario Maker level called Bulldozer Attack.
Apparently, when you kick a Koopa shell to attack enemies, it is canonically called the Bulldozer Attack. That being said, it actually doesn't tell me whether or not the Koopa thing stacks. I think you're right, actually, about that. I think I was mistaken. No, wait. I think the Koopa shell thing does stack, but the killing enemies with a star doesn't stack like it does in other games.
Oh, yes, you're right. The star does not. It's the same enemy, the same points every time. At the end of an area, after you jump onto the flagpole, fireworks may go off. And for each explosion, you get 500 points. The reason the fireworks go off is a secret. See if you can figure it out. Did you figure it out?
I know for damn sure I can't figure it out, but I thought I could. Every time I get it, I am like, oh, okay. Every time I try to get it, I'm like, that wasn't it. I know it has something to do with the number on your timer, but I don't know which number.
Precisely, yes. It's ingrained into my brain because in New Super Mario Brothers on the DS, that's how you get the Toad houses to respawn, is to end the stage on a certain time. So it's like 555, like keep the digits, like the same digits at the end. I think there's one if you do a 85, because it's a reference to 1985. Something along those lines, but yeah, it's all up to the timer on the stage. It's if the digits match, then that's how many fireworks you get.
That's crazy. Do you know which digits, like, is it just all three have to match, or is it a specific number it has to end in? What is it?
I'm not quite sure. I think it might be just the last two digits, but I should confirm. Well, I don't know. The viewer is going to see it on the screen. Whoever's looking at this.
Well, because the reason I bring it up is because I want to bring up how you unlock Luigi in Super Smash Bros. Melee, if you don't know about this.
Oh, it's you have to beat adventure mode in under a certain amount of time, right?
No. So there are two ways to unlock Luigi in Melee. The first way is play 800 versus matches, which is, fuck that. But the other way is if you play adventure mode, there's the first level is Mushroom Kingdom level, and it's really cool, and it's a platforming stage, and there's this little finish line with a flag at the end. But if you beat that level with the seconds in the timer ending at 2, if there's a 2 as the last second digit, not milliseconds, then instead of fighting Mario afterwards, you fight Luigi.
I definitely did not do that intentionally as a kid. That definitely just coincidentally happened to me.
Oh yeah, I mean there's a 1 out of 10 chance it'll happen. So
quick tangent on Super Smash Bros. Melee. The first time I ever played that game, I got it for Christmas when I was younger, and I played as Jigglypuff in adventure mode, unlocked the ice climbers, and then played as the Ice Climbers nonstop for like a week. I didn't pick any other character except the Ice Climbers, and I just loved them so much. Like, I didn't explore any other character. I only played the game as Ice Climbers.
I'm gonna have to correct you on that one, unfortunately, because right now I have the melee unlockables thing pulled up. You actually unlock Jigglypuff by playing Classic or Adventure mode for the first time. And Ice Climbers are part of the base roster. So, you fucked that one up.
All right. It must have been Ice Climbers, and I unlocked Jigglypuff, but Jigglypuff is irrelevant. It's the Ice Climbers that are important. I guess I forgot that you don't unlock them.
No, because I was like, I don't remember unlocking them, because in Melee, every single character unlock felt like an event, and that's something that was very much lost in Super Smash Bros. Like, Ultimate.
I did not have Mewtwo or Mr. Game & Watch for years. I knew that they were in the game, but I did not have them.
I didn't know where they were in the game. One day I just woke up, and then Mr. Game & Watch and like Ganondorf were just there, and I was like, whoa, because I think my brother was playing with his friends the previous night. Because they made that game last. Like they made that game to last. Like to unlock Mr. Game & Watch, you need 1,000 versus matches.
Yeah, or the alternative is beat All-Star mode with every character, and I hate All-Star mode.
I'm an All-Star mode fan, but I think we are veering a little bit off topic towards Super Mario Brothers for the NES. We're talking about a fighting game on the GameCube.
Well, how about I think one cool thing about Super Mario Brothers is at the time, so many games, basically every game. Well, first off, there wasn't adventure games like Mario, but even the arcade games, even Donkey Kong and Mario Brothers, they're black screen. They have a black background. Every arcade game was just a black background. But Super Mario Brothers, it's a blue background. It's a bright blue sky. And then when it becomes a black background later on, it's like a nighttime stage. And
it feels so cool. Like, I have like memories of playing Mario 1 and being like, whoa, it's like a dark nighttime level. Whoa. And like the blocks are white and the horsehair trees are white, and it felt really cool.
And in All-Stars, those nighttime levels I guess it's like corrected, or I guess they expand on it, and those are the snow levels.
That's true. I forgot about that.
I think I'm running out of Super Mario Brothers ideas. Anything off the top of your head that you can think about?
Yeah, a very important part of the Mario series that I thought you were going to transition to, but you ended up talking about the box art, because you said, speaking of boxes, I thought we were going to talk about the different kinds of blocks and what they do, because...
yeah, absolutely. And that reminds me about... the normal brick, it can either be broken or there can be a coin or an item inside of it, but the multi-hit bricks that can have up to 10 coins in those. Did you know that that was a glitch? It was unintentional.
I did not know that. Look at us learning things.
In development, they couldn't figure out like these certain blocks that, we want just 3 coins in this block or 5 coins in this block. They couldn't figure out how to make it a set number, but they found that it was just players were having fun just mashing the button, and with good timing, you can get up to 10 coins from those blocks. I just think it's so cool that was unintentional, but they kept it in just because it's fun to just repeatedly hit the block and hear that sound effect.
That is really cool. Yeah, because those coin blocks, like, if you're really like bad with it, like if you hit it once and then leave it alone for 10 seconds and then hit it again, you'll only get 2 coins out of it. Yeah. Another thing I really think is just really interesting about just the blocks in the game is and we haven't even like really talked about a question mark block yet. We're still talking about brick blocks. I was just thinking about like how they are multi-purpose. Like if there's an enemy walking on a block and you hit the block, it defeats the enemy. And that's really cool. But I literally just realized just now that is an extension of the game's prequel, Mario Bros. Because that is a game.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a game where you jump under enemies so they flip over and you can kick them, because that was before you could jump on enemies to defeat them. By the way, jumping on enemies to defeat them is like one of the most like video game things you can think of. That was not a thing before Super Mario Brothers came out.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I just want to say that the small ways that they subvert the player, it's like, oh, check it out. This is a spiny. You can't jump on these. It's just like there's variations on how you can jump on an enemy in this game, which invented jumping on enemy.
Yeah, they like, I mean, the fact that like some enemies die when you jump on them, some enemies become something you can use a fucking bulldozer attack with. Like, they had many different ideas from one idea. That idea is jumping. Hey, what if we can hit the bottom of things by going up towards them? What if we can land on things to destroy them? What if there are trampolines? Like, it just so many things from this one central idea of jumping that just really wasn't a thing yet. And it's interesting that Mario's original name was Jumpman. Like, damn, he sure is.
Wasn't another conceived title for Mario was Mr. Video Game?
Yeah, like, not a title for the game, but just like a title for the character was like Mr. Video or something.
Yeah.
Which is just, yeah, like when Miyamoto was just like thinking of like, what the hell do I call this guy?
Little did he know he would become
Mr.
True. Video Game.
Another considered name for Mario was Osan, which just means like middle-aged guy. And what's interesting is that name is used in Golf on the NES for the player character. And it's debated whether or not that character is Mario, because it's Osan, he has a mustache, he has a hat, but it actually is pretty much canon that it isn't Mario. From a game you already mentioned before, Captain Rainbow, Osan makes a reappearance. The golfer from NES Golf. He is a character in Captain Rainbow, which, if you didn't know, is a game by the creators of Chibi Robo that has this character go to an island of old, washed up, forgotten Nintendo characters. There's like Lip from Panel de Pon. There's Little Mac from Punch-Out. Birdo is there. A lot of other characters I really can't think of at the moment.
So Osan was in the Super Mario Brothers movie because of the golf poster.
That's right.
That I think that's the most obscure character in the Mario movie.
It could be.
Because it is a named character. I wanted to bring up the question mark block that in the Mario film, they kind of just say, like, are those blocks floating? Like, there's no, like, lore explanation of why there are floating blocks in the Mario universe. And do you have any feelings on that? Do you have any, like, do you feel like there needs to be explanation? Do you like the fact that there's just floating blocks there?
It could be argued that the blocks float because they were made using dark magic. However, I think I saw a headline recently. I didn't read the article, but I saw a headline that apparently one of the creators of the Mario movie did go out of his way to explain why the blocks float. So let me look that up.
That's fascinating. I was not expecting that. And, you know, I wonder if there is some sort of retcon regarding the dark magic, because bricks and question blocks appear throughout the entire franchise. So are those toads or mushroom people that are still transformed to this very day? Like, no rush to break them all?
It's debatable. I mean, I don't think so, but in most of those games, Bowser is the villain and he's still around, so it could be that he's just retreading old ground and cursing the kingdom again. But it could also be that these blocks were already a part of the kingdom and Bowser just made more of them, you know?
Well, I actually just gave it some thought, and I'm starting to think about how they're not in Super Mario Brothers 2, they're in Super Mario Brothers 3, which we'll get to this whole discussion, but that game not actually happening and being a stage show. And then they're not in Super Mario World either. There's the flappy blocks.
Well, on that topic as well, Super Mario Brothers 2 didn't happen either.
Oh yeah, you're actually that's correct.
Wow, that's crazy. Literally, like the Mario trilogy, Mario 2 and 3 didn't happen.
We'll get to Mario 3 another day, but that's I'm very fascinated by that theory of that it was a stage production.
Absolutely.
And hey, we haven't even mentioned Luigi. We barely mentioned Luigi or the multiplayer.
That's true. I do want to quickly read this out because I did find the article discussing how the blocks do float in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Please.
So basically, this is a quote from one of the film's directors, Aaron Horvath, and he says, "Our idea was that there's a mineral that's natural to the Mushroom Kingdom, which we call floatanium, because it sounded funny to us. The toads mine it and transform it into these blocks and use them for construction purposes."
Okay.
Cool. The blocks just float because the Mario universe is a magical world.
Yeah, I think I wholeheartedly accept that. I don't know what I was craving in terms of explanation, but like, hey, props to them for even coming up with that.
Yeah, like a lot of people like kind of neglect to remember that Mario is a series that like its setting and plot sort of derives from the fact that like there is magic, there is sorcery, there are sorcerers, because it is pretty much in all Mario games, just seldom mentioned.
Yeah, but I have not seen such a franchise. Well, I love continuity. I love it when things like are self-referential, but especially the Mario franchise, like it's very strong continuity-wise. Like the way that things work, like if something is true in one game, it's most likely true in another game.
Yeah. Like, people laugh at the idea of, like, Mario canon just because, like, I don't know, some things can be inconsistent and it's just like, oh, the plots don't matter, but, like, it is satisfying to see, like, yeah, this one thing still makes sense 30 years later. This is still a part of the Mario series.
And, you know, just speaking on the Mario canon, like, it's just, like, such a vast franchise where things do connect, things do reference each other, and, like, every game, like the fact that Nintendo, they don't like to do the same thing twice, like especially regarding Mario. Every Mario game has like a majorly different idea put in place to it. It just goes to show that like it really is like a quite large universe, like that makes sense and is still unfolding to this very day.
Absolutely. I mean, it's magical. Like, I still, like, get giddy when a new Mario game is announced, and there's still new ideas they have and new things to do, and it's crazy that Mario has never gotten stale. Like, they always have some fun new idea. Even 40... Like, when was Donkey Kong? That was released 42 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
And they're still coming up with new things.
I can't really think of a Mario game that I don't, or at least a mainline title. Even the new Super Mario Brothers games, I really enjoy all of those games. Even New Super Mario Brothers 2, like, yeah, it's just good. It's just plain like they haven't fallen off in any way.
It's interesting you mentioned that because I wanted to transition into something, and this seems like a good segue. Mm-hmm. There is one main series Mario game that I can safely say I'm not a big fan of, and it is the Japanese game called Super Mario Bros. 2.
Oh, man.
That was released on the Family Computer Disk System as a little floppy disk, and had some graphical upgrades to the first Mario game, and it was basically, cool, you mastered Mario 1, we're going to make the level design absolutely sadistic. Like, there is a warp zone in World 3 that leads back to World 1.
I got that when I was younger. I went there, and I turned off the game. Playing on All Stars. Like, I saw that warp, and I didn't even go down the pipe. I just turned off the SNES.
Yep. And so I was wondering, like, if we would save this for its own video, but, like, again, it's a game that's very, like, derivative of the first Mario game, and that's sort of the point. It feels like basically an expansion to Mario 1.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Instead of the two-player mode, Luigi actually is given his own physics, where he has a higher jump, but worse traction, which has held up for the entire series, so it was introduced in Mario 2. It adds poison mushrooms, which, again, is just cruel.
Oh, and the wind levels. The windy, I hate those levels.
Those wind levels, yeah.
Combine them with the springs.
But it also gave the clouds little happy faces.
And the bridges, they kind of look like a line of mini mushrooms all put together.
Oh yeah, those are cute. I like those platforms. But yeah, this game was so hard and so cruel that Nintendo of America decided it would be a very bad idea to release the game in America. So what they did instead was basically they reskinned another game to become a Mario game. But I want to be very clear because a lot of people like misinterpret what this is. A lot of people talk about the Super Mario Bros. 2 we got as if it isn't a Mario game, but that's actually untrue. The game Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic started as a Mario game. It was designed, directed by Shigeru Miyamoto, and it was basically, what if we made a Mario game with more emphasis on verticality? And eventually, they had a brand tie-in with Fuji TV to promote this event called Dream Factory, which is what the game is named after. They used Fuji TV's mascot characters in the game instead. And the game is really fun. It's on the Famicom Disk System, which I believe means it also has saving in the Japanese version. But regardless, the game is very fun. The game is very cool. And eventually they replaced the main characters with Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad. And they released it here as Super Mario Bros. 2. And I think it's important to note that, like, people say, oh, this isn't a real Mario game. It's just some other game. Let me list the characters it introduced to the Mario series. Shy Guy, Sniffit, Birdo, Bob-omb, Pokey. Like, that's off the top of my head, those 5. But, like, those are insanely iconic Mario characters.
Do you think you have enough to say about the game of Super Mario Bros. 2 to constitute a full podcast episode?
I do. So
same here.
Do want to just leave it at that.
Same
like
here.
I didn't want to go fully into it, but I wanted to make that point.
I will say that is my favorite Mario game of the. I like to think of it as the first 4 games, being the 1 through 3 and then World. I group those games together in my head, but yeah. Super Mario Bros. 2, especially the Game Boy Advance port, like, that is my favorite side-scroller Mario by far.
It's very good, especially that GBA port. I like the voice acting they added. That's going to be a fun discussion as well.
Well, surprisingly, they did those remakes of Super Mario Bros. 2, 3, and World, along with Yoshi's Island. But there was no remake in that style of the first game, because there already was the playable Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, which was a beefed up first Mario game that was playable on the Game Boy Advance. Like, you could just pop that cartridge into your Game Boy Advance.
That's exactly right. Actually, interestingly, if you recall the Nintendo Giga Leak, we got a lot of source codes on Nintendo games, and that included unused audio files from Super Mario Advance, where the characters actually say the game's earlier title, which was Super Mario Bros. 2 Deluxe.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there are voice clips of all 4 characters saying that.
And it essentially is the deluxe version.
It's just a sequel to Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, because that was the sequel to Super Mario Bros.
And there was the NES, or I guess they call it the Famicom Mini releases, as well as the NES classics. They were the gray Game Boy Advance cartridges, and
right.
I did have the Super Mario Brothers version, but it's a fine and all port. But the fact that Super Mario Brothers Deluxe exists, it makes that single cart of just that one game, it feels kind of odd, and it feels kind of like
agree.
Crushed as well. It looks like the game is being crushed to fit the Game Boy Advance screen.
Absolutely. Like, if we'll put it on screen, I guess, but if you've seen Mario's sprites from that game compared to the actual release, he looks fucking funny. He looks like he was put in a trash compactor. But one thing I actually did want to mention that I forgot to, just because, like, we were talking about Mario 2, is so if you don't know, the original Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2, the bullshit hard one, that eventually released in Super Mario All-Stars as Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. So that's how we got it in America. But later, when Super Mario Bros. Deluxe came out, it was actually unlockable there as well. retitled Super Mario Bros. For Super Players. And I think that goes to show just like how it kind of isn't really its own game, to the point where it became a side mode in an expanded re-release of Mario 1.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that full game was in Deluxe.
Yeah.
And I just don't even think that it's like, oh yeah, this is for experts, because it feels like every aspect of the Lost Levels, it was designed to be kind of like a troll game, kind of like everything you know is now different. Like, there are mushrooms that will hurt you. There's a power-up that will kill you.
Yeah. I guess, like, yeah, when they said for super players, they more so meant, like, yeah, fuck you. Like, you think you're good at Mario? Like,
hey, did you ever get or ever play on the Super Mario Brothers Game & Watch? The new one that they came out with.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
I did. I actually quite like it.
Do you have one?
I do.
I was considering getting one, but like, it's just Mario 1 and 2. And ball and clock. You get a clock too.
Yeah, the clock is really cute. I'm a big Mario guy. I thought the box was cute. The thing is, what very much disappointed me is they included Game & Watch Ball, but they didn't include Super Mario Bros. The Game & Watch game, which is actually my favorite Game & Watch game.
But doesn't that one have 2 screens?
No.
That's bizarre that they didn't.
It's just an obscure... I don't think that one has ever gotten a re-release in the Game & Watch collections, but it has a re-release as one of those Game & Watch minis, which I do own, and it's very fun. But I actually think a Game & Watch episode can, like, be its own thing. Not even just for Game & Watch. Like, the Mario games on Game & Watch can be its own episode.
I am trying to think if Super Mario Brothers because I know Mario Brothers, the Game & Watch version, is in...
That one is 2 screens.
Yeah, that one is in Game & Watch Gallery 4 on the GBA.
Yes. But, in fact, so is another 2-screen game. Zelda is in Game & Watch Gallery 4, which is really cool.
Wait, is it styled like Mario?
Huh?
It's the Zelda Game & Watch, but in like the modern... If you choose the modern style...
It doesn't have the modern style, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the games in the museum mode. Yeah, if you guys don't know, there's the Game & Watch Gallery games have like classic mode and modern mode, where classic mode is just a complete port as good as they can make it to look like the original Game & Watch, and modern makes it like a mini game that you would see in the modern day.
Yeah, with like the
like new graphics, more modern characters, like
Yoshi.
Yeah. Cute, like, actual animation, you know.
But that would be so funny if there was the Zelda game and it's Wario with the sword.
That would be pretty good. Of course, Mario and Zelda like do crossover all the time. That could be an episode topic.
Oh yeah, because they're both. Those are the 2 games that Miyamoto was signed on to create, to develop. Like those 2 games.
I don't know if you know this, but before they had a title for Legend of Zelda. In the studio, they were just calling it Adventure Mario.
Yeah. I was telling somebody about Mario at work today, and
as you do.
Well, this is a great time to be a Mario fan, because like with the Mario movie out, like people are inviting me to just expound upon Mario talking points, like, because now so many people have seen this Mario movie, and I can just like, people are talking as if the cat suit was introduced in this movie. Like, people I'm talking to don't know that the cat suit is from Mario already.
It does make me so happy that like this like thing I hold so much passion for, that like other people just know passingly, is just, it's something in like the public eye so much, and I can talk for fucking 2 hours about an NES game. Yeah. That also does remind me, the second time I watched the Mario movie, the first time I watched it specifically to save money, I watched it like during school hours when it was cheaper. The second time, there were kids there. And I shit you not, as soon as Mario got the cat suit, a kid just screamed out, "He's a furry!" And I was like, how does he even know what that is? That kid sounded like 10. Like, stop giving your kids smartphones. Like,
I had a similar experience. I saw it at a midnight showing, which was empty because it was midnight. But then the next day when I saw it, it was packed. There was a bunch of children. But like the things that the kids would yell out, like Mario and Luigi were fixing the sink, and I heard a kid from across the theater just say, "There's water." And that cracked me up so much.
Damn! They were not lying. There's water. That sink is in trouble. We should call them on the double.
Well, do you have any other thoughts about Super Mario Brothers for the NES, or would you say it's a good spot to close it out?
I don't think I have anything else right now to discuss about Super Mario Bros., the sequel to Mario Bros. And the prequel to Super Mario Bros. 2.
If before anyone says it in the comments, I'm just going to say the words blooper, Cheep Cheep, Hammer Brothers, Lakitu. There you go. They're mentioned in the video. Maybe we didn't talk about Hammer Brothers. I don't care about Hammer Brothers.
Hey. In Mario 1, they're called Bloober.
I'm looking at that right now. Bloober.
We also didn't mention Bullet Bills, did we?
Oh, Bullet Bills. What needs to be said about them?
They're bullets with arms.
I think they're neat. I think they're pretty cool.
Actually, I do want to go over one thing about bloopers. Mm-hmm. Before we go, before the episode ends, here's a blooper fact for you all.
Blooper.
At the end of every podcast episode, we're going to have a blooper fact. Okay. We're going to put a trademark at that.
Facts.
Blooper facts. If this doesn't happen in the second episode, give me $10. Anyway, blooper fact. The blooper's motion is very erratic, and it seems like a very hard enemy to avoid. But if you just stand there on the ground, the blooper will never touch Mario.
Interesting.
He will never go low enough to touch Mario. It's only as Mario ascends where he can get hit by a blooper. A blooper always goes in 3 zigzag arcs upwards and then falls down.
I did not know that.
Like upwards and to the side, yeah. There's actually a little manual that came with the original Mario Maker that shows a bunch of enemy path patterns that actually taught me that.
Hey, well, that's it for Super Mario Brothers. That's an hour, over an hour of Super Mario Brothers goodness. Whatever this show is going to be called, Star Road, question mark block. Hey, maybe we could make a poll for people to vote.
I was thinking of a poll because we have a lot of name ideas, so that could be fun.
Yeah, so yeah, check that out.
Please let us know, like, in the comments, like, if you have any thoughts on this. Like, I know people say, like, oh, like, leave comments, like, as if, like, they just want it for the algorithm, but like I want to know what people like about this and what they'd want to see us discuss in the future. Because I'm not exactly sure what our second episode is going to be about, but I can promise you this: Mario will be involved.
We are. I will just flat out say it. JoJo and I are Mario experts. We have played, I would say, 99% of every Mario game, like every main series game at least. Like. I don't know another person who... JoJo is, if not a bigger expert on Mario than I am. He knows so much and has, even over the course of this video, explained things that I never even knew about this game that I've been playing my whole life. So there'll be a lot of that in this show. But I had a lot of fun today chatting. I didn't expect to go this long either. Yeah, me either. But you put 2 of the fucking biggest... like nerdiest Mario fans in the same room. This is what happens. Well, with that, thank you everybody for listening in, and Yahoo! Yippee! Yeah! Yeah!